What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante, episode number 8 with me, GamerKnoob. Let's get this show on the road. The Feast of the Heir. The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of age of Jarian Tempest, heir to the throne. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind, the streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fills the air. You too set aside some time to join the celebration. It is not often that you can see the ruling family of the Empire firsthand. The celebration day comes, and Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy march in front, lined up in columns, and other citizens follow suit. You join the parade around the tail of the procession. Before long, it reaches the square in front of the Emperor's palace. The ruling dynasty of Tempests observe the parade from the palace balcony. They are joined by the Empire's highest dignitaries and province overseers. For the first time in your life, you see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes, there, high up above. The columns of college students and academy cadets come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Emperor with their mottos. The Empire raises... I'm having very trouble speaking right now, sorry guys. The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. Then his voice echoes across the square. You can hear him easily, even from so far away. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service to the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The nobles-to-be cheer the Emperor's words, but then Archduke Monteroo steps onto the balcony, and their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent. Everyone remembers all too well how the ruler of Mania tried to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arknian gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor. Hail your Emperor, common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Arknian with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Jarian, heir to the throne, student of Cornelius' promise, and the hope of the common estate. To the left of Jarian is his younger brother Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in your loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the nobles-to-be roar as one. All hail Prince Jarian! Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Arknian, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms to make a speech. Long live Prince Jarian, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is the day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Jarian, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Jarian also remains still, listening to every reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monteroo briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects. What the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. Commotion and murmurs spreads over the crowd as some of the nobles-to-be refuse to follow Archduke Monteroo's order. There are shouts heard here and there. The law! We ask for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade. But tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. An Imperial cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowds, hand on their swords, pushing people out of the square. The commoners are running left and right. You too have to move away. This quickly quells the commotion in the square, and the cavalry withdraws. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again. Archduke Monteroo stands by his side. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign. My subjects, I see you can be overjoyed you are here for Prince Jarian, but your show of reverence and gratitude was clear enough. Now obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises of the Tempest dynasty that has given you so much. The square obediently lines up into columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and they resume the festive parade through the city streets. Glory to Emperor Uther, glory to Prince Jarian. And power goes down, dun dun dun. Yeah, I'm struggling this episode, guys. Whew. Letters from home. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events at work and Magra and writes very little about the family. Makes me proud that I've managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me, and we barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. Makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day he told me you won't even try to study in the capital. He says you won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time. Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too, and they say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mentions her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There's one more thing Nathan mentioned in his letter. Stefan and Gloria, they've been fighting very often these days. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her the lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. Oh, I didn't even do anything, Stefan. I didn't do. Why y'all angry? Why is everybody mad at me? What did I do? I didn't do nothing. And everybody's just mad at me. March of the Collars. This is the morning you have all been preparing for. One of the houses in downtown Eterna is packed with a crowd of people. Everybody puts collars on their necks. There are not enough for everyone, so the rest of them cover their necks with scarves and belts and anything else that looks dark against the skin. And there's so many faces, even faces you've never seen before. People of all estates have come here today. You flow out into the street. People keep coming to join the crowd even as you start walking. There are shouts in the crowd now. Our cause is just. These words fill you with confidence, helping you remain composed. Everyone is smiling. You march in the front row. The feeling is indescribable. Change is coming. The square is already covered with stacks of firewood. You see people in collars tied to wooden stakes with inquisitors busy around them. The fiery execution is almost ready to begin. Your path is blocked. Imperial Legion soldiers stand guard on all streets leading to the square. The crowd keeps pushing. There are cries on the street now. Mages and witches are children of the gods. Give the witches back their lives. Down with the shackles of the lotless. The cries of the lotless fill St. Ignatius Square. A legionnaire yells over the mob and orders you to stand aside before they draw their swords, and then you hear a scream right next to you. We've got them outnumbered. We're going through them. Her voice rings in your head and fills you with fury and faith in victory, and you run straight at a legionnaire's sharp sword. But suddenly a hand catches you and pulls you back. You see Sophia now, her eyes burning with golden light. The ecstatic, furious mob flows around her and toward the unnerved legionnaire. Sophia's face looks inhuman now, her grin predatory. She's using her magic to push people forward. This is getting a little much for what I signed up for, ma'am. Legionnaire swings his sword at the man in the mob. He's quickly knocked off his feet. Until the soldiers guarding the square lock their shields together and draw their swords. There's a look of bewilderment in the Inquisitor's eyes. It seems none of them expected such a frenzy. Sophia leads the attack. Set the sufferers free. Junius Diamant is on our side. The twins are our shields. Any idea of a peaceful march is now thrown to the wind. Sophia is about to send the lotless against the lines of legionnaires. Only seconds, moments are left until they strike. You have to be there in the front lines, or will you try to stop her and avoid further bloodshed? There is still time. Or will you execute the plan yourself and free the captives from the funeral pyres on your own? I mean, I'm gonna go with our plan, man. I wasn't about charging and killing the legionnaires. The lotless trample the legionnaires. The Inquisition tries to stop those who make it past the shield-bearing soldiers. Your eyes catch an unguarded opening leading straight into the square. You run away from Sophia and through the crowd, then squeeze through the opening and head for the pyres. The Inquisitors are too busy binding the fleeing lotless with the wondrous power of the younger twin. No one is watching the pyres. You turn over a barrel, flooding the square behind the Inquisitors with tar and set it on fire. They are now trapped with the mob. Oh dear. You start attacking quickly, cutting the ropes and bind the mages to the stakes. An old man with a horrifying facial scar screams when you accidentally cut him, but you have no time to be careful. Their freedom comes first. The last mage you free is a girl with golden hair. She must have been a beauty in the past, but now her body is beaten and bruised, and she's frightened and confused like all the other mages. Then suddenly you notice a young woman in an Inquisitor's cassock. You're moments away from assaulting her until you realize she's helping the girl with the golden hair off the pyre. Did you just hear her apologize? The Inquisitor looks at you next. Thank you. You push the freed mages toward the mob, yelling instructions into each ear. They have to scatter, they have to run away from Eterna as fast and as far as possible. The mages mix with the collared crowd. All you can do now is hope they will find a way out. Reaching Sophia in this chaos takes an eternity. You grab her hand, shout that the mages are free, and drag her away from the bloodshed, and then you run together until the screams in the square can no longer be heard. It's far enough, Brante. We need to split up. We're too suspicious, and let's take off these collars. We don't need them anymore. We need to lay low, at least for several days. Don't go back to our house. I get the feeling there's a shakedown coming. A lot of us are going to get arrested, I'm afraid. But it's all worth it. I'm just glad it ended so quickly. You nod and turn away, ready to flee, but before you do, Sophia grabs you by the arm one more time. Was that all you? Did you set them free all by yourself? You nod. Sophia's eyes glow with awe. You find a flop house on a nearby street and rent a dirty cubbyhole of a room, no questions asked. You pay for a few days' stay at once. It's a good thing you kept your money on you today. Then you walk upstairs to the room and collapse onto the bed. There's no news about the Lotless. It was as though none of it ever happened. You go to St. Ignatius' Square only 3 weeks later. The cobblestones are covered with soot and you see spots of dried blood. In the bushes nearby, you find several broken collars. Our cause is just. We're up to ringleader now. Ho ho ho. Ringleader! The march in defense of the witches ended in chaos and carnage in the streets of Eterna. Alice's rescue. Alice's death is prevented. You saved an enigmatic singer known as the Golden Voice from an untimely death. You're welcome. Year 1137. The last year as a youth, I do believe. Ho ho ho! The Overseer of Magra. 2 major events take place while you're busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the Great Chancellor of the Empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Begarius Monorogue, the same Monorogue who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the Emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. Now the policies of the Empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new Great Chancellor will destroy the Imperial Code of Laws and other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say the new Great Chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the older brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is an archduke. After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Milanius is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Arknian gentry who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Milanius will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Only one thing is clear, Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. Everything is bad! Except order. Order is good, I guess. Maybe? The trap springs. Weeks pass, then months, and not a word from the Lotless. You have to resort to odd jobs to survive. How much longer will you have to wait? Your hopes of seeing the Lotless return wane more and more with each passing day. You still recall the loss and bloodshed of St. Ignatius Square with pain. What happened to the others? How many of you managed to get away? And more importantly, what happened to Sophia? More days pass, you hear nothing. You keep returning to the same familiar city streets, glancing at the walls and windows, waiting anxiously for a sign or a familiar face. Then one day you finally see a sign, a yellow towel hanging outside the Widow Meyer's window. That means tonight. You return to the basement. Only a few people are there. You look into their faces. There are fewer of you now. Some of the Lotless cannot bring themselves to come, and others died back in the square. Sophia sits on the opposite end of the room like an actor on a stage, her pipe in her hand. A golden ray of sunset has just reached through the basement window to glint in her hair. People are sitting at the benches or leaning against the wall. You sit where you normally do, in the front row, almost in the middle. There are voices, and there are questions. Why did our meeting stop? Where has Sophia been all this time? What do we do now? Sophia stands up and looks straight at you, a golden light glowing in her eyes. I want to ask you all for one last favor. Please, for your own sake, don't do anything foolish. The golden light in Sophia's eyes comes alive and flies to the wall, enveloping the others in a viscous warmth. Your eyelids grow heavy, your mind becomes tangled and slow to react. You can barely stand, and your legs feel like they're made out of rubber. People in the front rows slump to the floor. There are cries of surprise and confusion from the back rows. You hear heavy stomping steps. Armed knights clad in black armor enter the basement. The lawless at the door draw their weapons and are killed instantly. A voice full of steel rings through the room. In the name of Emperor Uther II, you are all under arrest. Your heart is racing. The rays of sunlight will not release you from this stupor. You can do nothing but watch as your united brotherhood perishes. This feels like a nightmare. Some run for the tiny windows, others get down on their knees and surrender immediately, others stand or sit still, unsure of what to do. Your former unity is shattered. People you used to call friends and allies now kneel in submission, and those who do not kneel are quickly cut down. There are screams and flashes of steel, and then a merciless cry, surrender or face execution. Sophia is no longer glowing. Her eyelids are red. She tries to maintain her composure, but you can see her lower lip trembling. Your eyes meet, and she looks away. Sophia, but how? Why? Everything ends as quickly as it began. Most of you are arrested, many are killed. Everyone bound by Sophia's spell is swiftly bound at the wrist and placed against the wall. You know most of you would rather die fighting, and you would if you were not bound and gagged by magic. They took your choice away from you. These people are well armed, well trained, but you see no signs on their armor. They are not the Legion, nor the Prefecture, nor the Inquisition. Your worst fear has come true. These are the soldiers from the secret chancellery. Your body is bound by magic, so strong you cannot even twitch. You are trapped along with the rest of the lotless, and there is no escape. You close your eyes. You have to muster all your willpower to drive slumber away. Do you have enough willpower to break Sophia's spell, even for a moment? And if you do, will it even help if you resist? Well, we're not surrendering. That's not happening. We're gonna do one of these, is the thing. I think I'm gonna try to resist Sophia. I'm mad. We might get killed here. Out of options, you muster all your will in an attempt to break free of the binding spell. Your voice cuts through the screams and chaos of the basement. You scream and scream for your fellow lotless to fight until the end. Sophia is a traitor. One day you will get her, and then she will pay. Your call inspires some of the lotless to break free from the spell for a few precious moments. They knock down one of the black-clad mercenaries. Another man lunges at Sophia with his bare hands ready to choke her to death. But one of the men in the black armor immediately jumps to protect her and greets an unarmed man with his sword. The same bloody fate awaits the others who try to fight. One of the mercenaries slowly walks towards you and kicks you in the guts. You clasp, gasping for air, bound by the spell again. Sophia leans over you, shaking her head slowly and mournfully. What have you done, you fool? Told you not to do anything foolish, this will only get you hurt. Sophia walks away and the knights in black surround you. They tie you up, tightening the knots around your wrists so hard your fingers turn white, and then kick you in the gut again for good measure. You are dragged out roughly and thrown into a windowless wagon along with the other lotless. Soon the wagon shifts, then starts moving. You're being taken somewhere. Sophia, Sophia. Unacceptable. The secret society of the lotless was struck down by the secret chancellery. Many of the conspirators were captured, and many were killed. Can't believe you've done this, Sophia. Recruitment. Days are followed by nights. Nights are followed by new days. You can only tell because of the new light coming in through the tiny window near the ceiling. You have spent several months in this cramped cell. It is 5 steps long, 2 steps wide. These walls felt oppressive during your first weeks, but people can get used to anything eventually. They feed you twice a day. They do not answer any questions. They take away the food if you scream too loudly. You think of your family often. How would they react if they heard you were facing execution for being part of an underground movement? Mother would die from grief. Execution always brings true death. Father's hair would turn white. Gloria would cry. Stefan would rage. And Nathan would become even more isolated. Sophia, how could she do such a thing? She said the lotless were her family. She insisted so much on freeing the innocent mages. She urged you to support Patriarch Junius's and the new faith. Sophia said all that and then stood there and watched her fellow lotless get killed and arrested, their lives lost, years of work undone and destroyed. Driven mad with rage, you punch the stone wall, blood splatters from your knuckles. It grows dark again, the lock on the door squeaks and the cell opens. They carry you out by the arms, but you no longer resist. You're sick of this. It's no use anymore. They seat you in an interrogation room. There's a man sitting across from you, plain but well-tailored jacket, pale face with chiseled features, thick black mustache, black eyes watching your every move from their deep sockets. When did the secret chancellery first start watching? When did you all become pawns in their game? The nobleman keeps studying you with utter disdain. Even grandfather never looked at you with that much scorn. He wears a pendant in the shape of a wheel. His gloved hand rests atop the table with a walking stick leaning against it. Behind him stands Sophia, her head down. I am Baron Philippe Elfero, advisor to the secret chancellery, but I have a dislike for titles. Call me Sir Philippe, that will suffice. I know everything about you, young Brante. Your father and grandfather are loyal servants of the Empire. Your brother is a noble by birth. Where did your life take such a turn? How did you stoop so low? The advisor to the secret chancellery shakes his head, presenting you with clearly false smile of sympathy. You feel like a student in front of a strict teacher, but you will not leave this room with a mere flogging. You, young people, don't even realize what you're doing, openly defying the church and its teaching, openly speaking out against the law, and when Junius Diamant gives you the order, you wreak havoc in the capital, assault priests and free apostate witches sentenced into execution. Isn't that right, Sophia? Yes, Sir Philippe. It all happened exactly as you said. You shudder with disbelief. There was no order from Junius Diamant. This is not true. It never happened. You looked at Sophia, but she will not look at you. Her eyes are only on Baron Alfaro, and he looks at you with a fatherly smile and a ruthless gaze. You are trapped. Now his words will be the truth, and nobody will ever believe anything you say. If only I could be like you, young Brante, a mere boy who thinks he can change the Empire all on his own. But I suppose it's a good thing I'm not that naive, otherwise I'd be in your shoes right now, and you'd be dealing with someone far worse than me. There are many things in this world that do not sit well with me either, but unlike your youthful rebellion, my goals are quite clear. My wish is to save the Empire, to save from the likes of you, people who reject tradition and the laws given to us by the gods, fools who seek to set the mages free, practitioners of the new faith, and that is destroying the church from within, even if their leader is a patriarch and an Arknian from an ancient dynasty. Few know my methods, and that is why they are effective. Thanks to Sophia and this secret society of hers, we have already managed to gather all the dangerous insurgents together and similarly deal with them in one fell swoop. The heretic Junius Diamant is next in line. That is none of your concern. Let us speak of your fate now. Philippe produces a folder full of notes and puts it on a table in front of you. The folder bears your name. Your hands shake as you flip through the pages. How you infiltrated the college during the siege, how you helped recruit more people for the Lotless, the articles you wrote for the newspaper, the advice you gave Sophia, your preparations for the March of the Collars. Your life over the past 3 years is laid out on these pages. Just the records of your presence at the Lotless meetings is enough to sentence you to execution, but that is the least of what you have done over these years. Your stomach churns. Do not expect your father's authority as a judge to save you from this, Brante. He's just a second-generation judge. A brief note from me, and you will face true death. And then your father and the rest of your peculiar little family as well. What do you say? Is there any reason I shouldn't just do that? Sir Philippe, He strikes Sophia, swiftly and painfully. She doubles over and clutches at her stomach, gasping for breath. Slowly, Philippe returns the walking stick to its previous position. His gaze never leaves you. I don't remember giving you permission to speak, but very well. I grant it now. Speak. Sophia finally catches her breath and leans against the wall. She looks at you for the first time since the interrogation began. Sir Philippe, Brante grew up in Anazat like my... He is very bright and has proven himself to be quite capable since his first days with the Lotless. You'll find my description of him in my report. He will serve your cause in Magra well. You do not look at Sophia. Her betrayal is the reason you ended up here, but now she's putting herself at risk to save your life. Philippe stares you down, his chin resting on his fists. Proved himself, you say? Then how about he proves himself to me as well? There are only 2 ways out of this room, Brante. One that leads to the gallows, the other makes you my loyal servant. Thank your childhood friend for this mercy. I will give you one chance, and only one, to prove that you are useful to the secret chancellery. I'm listening. Oh, we can't outwit him? Oh, that's so sad. Well, I don't think we're going to be doing this. I will prove that I will be useful. You pull yourself together and start thinking. There's only one way out of this prison and back to safety, and you must prove that you're useful to the city hall. You have to prove to this noble advisor that you are more than just a lowborn malcontent. You have to prove that you can understand Philippe's intricate plans and play an important role in them. And so you start talking, and Philippe listens carefully to every word you say. If you understand correctly, the noble advisor's plan was to create a secret society, the Lotless, in the capital, with Sophia as its leader, overseen and supported by the secret chancellery. The purpose of this group was to entice as many discontented young commoners as possible to join its ranks. Once that was done, the society would begin peaceful protests to support the mages, but those protests quickly descended into chaos and bloodshed in the square when they tried to free the imprisoned mages. However, you conclude the Lotless and the March of the Collars were just bargaining chips whose purpose was to undermine the standing of Patriarch Junius Diamant, who is famous for showing his support for the mages. Foment an act of rebellion that can be traced back to the powerful highborn leader of the new faith. That was Sir Philippe's goal all along. All of a sudden, Sir Philippe breaks into a satisfied smile. You are intelligent indeed, Brante. I'm not sure what schooling you received from your father, but you'll make a fine agent for the secret chancellery. You sure have an eye for everything that matters. Right you are. The Lotless have outlived their usefulness. Soon we'll find and deal with the rest of those low-born ragamuffins. Color me impressed, but if you disappoint me, so much the worse for you. Now mark my words. From this moment on, you are my secret servant. This is your only lot in life now, as it were. You will obey me and no one else, and do not even think of mentioning the secret chancellery to anyone. You and Sophia will return to Anazat, tell everyone you earned a small fortune in the capital or made wealthy friends. You're a slippery young man. Just think of something believable, will you? Once you're there, open a print shop. Don't waste too much time on it. This will be your job, your cover, to keep you looking busy in public. Many people will pay you visits from time to time and bring you instructions from me. I have big plans for your desert province. Every instruction must be carried out immediately. If you ever fail or try to fool me, your family will suffer along with you. Here, this should be enough for the print shop. Now you have something to bring back home. With a chuckle, Philippe drops a hefty pouch at your feet. It falls like a rock and makes a sound that only gold can make. Before you can say anything, he turns around and leaves. Once you are left alone with Sophia, she finally lets her emotions rise to the surface. Don't you dare call me a traitor. Do you think it was easy for me to watch my friends being killed? Nobody would have left the room alive if it wasn't for me. Yes, I bound everyone I could with my spell, because otherwise you would have died trying to fight back. I hoped I could get everyone out of there alive, but I only got you out. And now Philippe is about to eliminate the rest of the Lotless, but what can we do? We can do nothing to save them now, and as for you and me, Philippe has us on his leash now. We'll have to survive like this. We can't run from him, and if I don't do what I'm told, he'll have me collared and sent back to the House of Humility to be an obedient, soulless puppet. But we have each other now. We can do this. Don't lose hope. A jailer enters the room before you can say anything else. You are led out of the prison and into the yard. You wince at the light of the sun and the shining pillar. A carriage takes you to the back of the flop house where you took refuge after the March of the Collars. The driver kindly informs you he has orders to take you back to Anazat in 3 days. You start packing. It all feels like a dream. Everything will happen exactly as Philippe said. You have nowhere to run. If you try to flee, they will find you, and they will find your family first. In the blessed Arknian Empire, there is no way to start over with a clean slate. The twins and the secret chancellery see it all. Your months in prison are in the past, but can you truly call yourself free now? You'll be going home soon. Dang it. You are now a serve of the secret chancellery. Your life and fate are the hands of advisor Philippe Elfaro. Why, Sophia? Why? Diamant stands trial. Just before you leave the capital, you overhear something unusual on the street. Junius Diamant, Patriarch Arvestynia, and one of the leaders of the new faith will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamant was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lotless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of this society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal of the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the new faith, and the end of days for Junius Diamant himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to get rid of the land of this unwelcome Patriarch, who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person, but I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for the slander against me, my flock, the Diamond Dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial for the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land and on my terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Arknia. Parishes of the new faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamant. The Church of the Twin Gods is all about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert the coming schism. Their new official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any farther trials against the new followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of the Patriarch Fotis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamant has been averted, but the divide within the Church is only deepening. The new faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending upon who you ask. Some say Junius Diamant all but pled guilty. Others believe the Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the Church as well as the Inquisition is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Arvestynia and the co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. But for how long, and how will the old and new faith clash next? Church go down! A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and the Tellerina rivers meet outside the city walls. You've barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. Your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations, and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. Where did your youthful ambition lead you in the end? Eterna never became your home to you. It was a place of turmoil and disappointment. You tried to change the course of history, but history broke you in half and threw you away. You were too young and too inexperienced. Your entire life was wrecked by a single decision. What future could you possibly have now? All your hopes are buried here in Eterna. You must leave this city behind. Your hands clench into fists as you think about it. You will have to live two lives, a public life as the owner of a print shop, and a secret life as the spy for the secret chancellery. This is the only path Faith has in store for you now. Mother used to say that humility and hard work are the strength of the common folk. Each new blow brings less pain and teaches you to get back up more quickly. All you have to do is walk this path without showing weakness. But you strayed from the path of humility and graduated from the school of hard knocks. You learned to lie and manipulate others, to survive and hide and act in secret. As a teacher, Sophia had no equal. But what are you supposed to do now? Will you accept your role in the schemes of the secret chancellery since it means well for the Empire? Or will you have what it takes to find another way and use your new position for schemes of your own? Many things must have changed back home by now. You recall Gloria particularly fondly, the way she used to rebel all the time and defy her lot to write poems. She always fought hard to be herself, no matter what other people or the law said. Gloria was the only one who supported your decision to find your own path. You want to see her so badly and tell her all the news and share the joy of your return with her. You have to get her a gift from the capital, something that will matter to your sister while there is still time. You decide to buy her a book that she could never find in Anazon. You start combing through the market. You go to 5 bookstores, but you see nothing suitable. One last shop, and then it is time to leave, you promise yourself. The store is marked by an unremarkable sign and an unremarkable building. You enter a dark room full of bookshelves. On one of these shelves, you see a small, bound book bound in black leather. The name of the author, Shar Melanidas, is stamped in gold. You peek inside. How strange. This is not a biography of the rebellious Duke and his rebellion. It's not even a study on his legacy. It is a book of his poems. You thumb through the pages and realize that Gloria would enjoy this book very much. The poetry of Shar Melanidas is about love and struggle and the strength of will and the drive to keep fighting even when all hope is lost. The book costs almost nothing. It leaves the bookstore with you. You leave the capital the morning after. The carriage hired by the secret chancellery waits you at the door. Eterna, the city where you spent 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You do not know. The book, A Gift for Gloria, is in your hands. After 4 years in the capital, you return to your home in the city of Anazont. The end of youth. The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anazont. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself, or was it your destiny all along, ever since your childhood years? All you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. And there is the end of our youthful days, my friends. A rough chapter of our life indeed. It was, yeah, it was definitely rough. We're up to promising. We're up to canny, still not clever. Dangerous enemy, it's not bad. Clear speech, almost silver tongue, and ringleader. It's not bad either, scheming pretty good. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode of The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. If you've got anything to say, go to the comments below. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button. The bell helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace!